Hey, it is Whitney K, business coach, marketing agency owner, and your host of the Uno Mas podcast, where overwhelmed female entrepreneurs and founders come to get real, actionable advice on how to ditch burnout and build a business that actually works for them. Here you'll access tips, proven strategies, and unfiltered conversations with industry leaders. If you've ever hesitated to create content because you felt like you weren't qualified enough or successful enough, or you just didn't look the part, then this episode's for you. I get it. It's hard to talk about skincare when you're struggling with breakouts. It's awkward to sell business services when you don't have a full client list. And it feels almost impossible to promote wellness products when your own health isn't where you want it to be. But here's the truth. Your audience doesn't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. So today I'm breaking down how to show up authentically even when you don't feel it 100%. We're going to be talking about how being transparent and relatable actually builds trust, why educating your audience is more powerful than just selling to them, how to position yourself as a guide instead of a guru, and the importance of documenting your small wins along the way. By the end of this episode, you'll have a fresh perspective on how to create content that actually connects, even if you don't feel like the expert yet. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, let's go ahead and dive right in. I am really excited to be talking about this today. I think I'm really excited about talking about it because of how many times lately this conversation around this topic has come up. I have been in conversations with clients on strategy calls. I have been in conversations with girls in my network marketing organization. I have just been in so many different conversations lately, and I feel like I'm having to repeat myself a million times. So I was like, why would I repeat myself if I could just create a podcast episode talking about all this? And then whenever this comes up, I can be like, hey, go listen to this episode. Because in all honesty, this is something that we all need to hear. In fact, this is a conversation I have to have with myself more times than you'd probably think. So not only am I playing this for people that I might have a conversation with and be like, hey, go listen to this episode. But I'm also recording this episode and playing this now for myself over and over again, because I guarantee you there's going to be a moment in time when I'm going to be like, hey, girl, you spoke these words. You need to eat them yourself if you're going to be acting this way or thinking this way or feeling this way. And that's the feeling of feeling like you're just not qualified, or you just don't have the status to be speaking about what you should be speaking about, or not really status, but you just don't look the part, right? Or you're not successful enough, or whatever it is. And first of all, let me just ask you this. Who sets the standards? Who sets the standards in your life? I really want you to sit and think about that. Somebody said that to me one time, and they're like, I don't even remember what I was saying. I was probably saying like, I don't have, the best, or I don't have the perfect outfit, or I don't look like I should look. And they were like, just stop right there. Who set the standards in your life? And I stopped for a second and I was like, God did, like in the Bible. And they're like, are the standards that you're trying to live by in alignment with that? And I'm like, well, no. They're like, you're trying to live by worldly standards. I'm like, okay, well, everybody does. And they're like, well, who set the standards in the worldly standards? And I'm like, I don't even know. But in all honesty, we need to check ourselves, and this is going to be that episode. So how can you step into owning who you are in whatever situation that might be? In the intro, I mentioned a couple different situations because these were based on conversations I was literally having recently. I had a client say, well, I can't sell skincare right now, or I don't feel confident selling skincare right now because, skincare is supposed to give you that clean and glassy and perfect looking skin. And all I have is constant breakouts, and I'm fighting with acne, and I just don't feel confident enough to talk about products that are supposed to help people when I don't even feel like it's helping me. The next person said something along the lines of, well, I'm just now getting started in my business and I don't really have the testimonials or the clientele to validate what it is that I'm saying that I'm doing for people. So I'm feeling really defeated in showing up and talking about what I do when I don't have anybody to share and validate what I do. So I just feel like when there's already people that have big businesses and have already established themselves, like I can't compete with that. And then there was somebody that was like, well, I can't talk about my supplements and I can't talk about, this wellness journey when I look in the mirror and I'm 30 pounds overweight and it doesn't make me feel comfortable. Mind you, you just had a child. I know you're going to be listening to this episode and I said this exactly to your face. So you're going to be like, okay, Whitney, I hear you the second time. But seriously, you just had a baby. Obviously, you are not going to be in the perfect shape that you once were pre-baby. None of us are. And if you bounce back in 2 days after having a child, you are like bionic. You're not even human. Okay? So first of all, let's just give ourselves some grace for a minute in certain areas that we deserve to have some grace and we need to accept that for ourselves. But in all honesty, let's get into this. Like, how can you own it in a time that maybe you don't feel it, right? Well, number one is you want to be just transparent and relatable. That is something you're going to see a pivot in content in 2025. I really feel like, and I've said this before in previous episodes, that the more transparent and relatable in creating content in the moment of things that people are desiring now is way more desired now than it ever has been before. Because before it was like, I got to have the perfect edit. I've got to have the perfect transitions. I've got to have the perfect, captions and all this. And that's just not where we are because people are kind of they're over it. So being transparent and relatable, like you're a normal human being and not some superhuman, is what people are going to connect with. People connect with real humans, not perfection. So for example, you're selling skincare, but maybe you're struggling with acne. Share the journey. What works? What doesn't? What products are you using? What products are you not using? I was talking about this with another client of mine, and I said to her today on a coaching call, I was like, it's almost like when you tell somebody you have the hiccups, and if 5 different people are in the room, they're going to give you 5 different responses of how to get rid of your hiccups. Somebody's going to say, go hide. I'm going to find you and scare them out of you. Somebody's going to say, put a knife in a glass of water and drink it upside down. Like, is that even possible? I've never even tried that, by the way. Somebody's going to be like, put sugar under your tongue. Somebody's going to be like, hold your breath. There are so many different approaches to handling certain things in life. If you're dealing with acne, I would be, if this was me, I would be taking all the recommendations that I see online. I would be trying all the different products that people are recommending online, especially like the Walmart, the CVS brand products, the natural remedies, and I would be putting them to work, as well as my own products that I'm trying to sell. I would be trying it all, and I would be taking people on the journey. Yes, I'm doing this, and yes, this is why I love this, and yes, I know that I'm still having acne breakouts, but I'll tell you, this is what I'm noticing. I'm noticing my inflammation go down. I'm noticing less and less reactive breakouts to certain things. I've noticed when I've curved my diet this way, it doesn't trigger my acne as much. Like, document all of it. And then, if you're just starting a business, talk about the learning process instead of pretending to be an expert. I have continuously grown in business over the years, and I love sharing with people what I'm learning. In fact, my husband and I are launching a brand new company this year in the real estate industry, an industry that both of us honestly have desired to jump into. No, we're not realtors, but we have desired to jump into the real estate industry for years. We have been obsessed with real estate, and we've had this business pocketed in our back pocket for 2 years. And finally, this is the year that we're launching it. Because basically we just need to get off our own booties and put it into action. But we are learning in the process and we're taking people through that journey. We don't know everything, and we're not going to jump into an industry that we're brand new into when people have been experienced in this industry for years. We're not going to position ourselves like we are the end alls be alls. We're not going to position ourselves like we know everything, because we don't. There's room for growth. There's room for development. And the moment you can acknowledge that and be willing to share that with your audience is the moment you become relatable, and people who are also in that same place in their life, in their walk, will want to follow you because they're being inspired by you because of how just real and authentic you are in the actual moment. So instead of hiding your imperfections, lean into the storytelling and the authenticity of it. The second thing, is educating people rather than just trying to sell them. I was talking to one of my clients this morning on a coaching call. I feel like I'm talking to people every single day because I am, but I was talking to one of my clients this morning on a coaching call, and she is in her 50s and she is going back to school. And I love this, right? So we were talking about how she really needs to dive in to this aspect because she's trying to build a personal brand alongside what she's trying to sell. And we leaned into the fact that this is a huge part of your life right now. And this is a huge attraction base to an audience out there that you could really and truly connect with, is women that are trying to pursue education in their later years in life or midlife, 50, whatever you consider that, mid or late. But I encourage this, and people listen. And let me wrap my thoughts up here. Let me say this. I told her that through the process, she wants to educate people on what she's learning and how she's learning it and how it applies to her industry and how it applies to what she's doing, because people don't buy products and services. They buy solutions and trust. The storytelling engages them. The storytelling compels them. The storytelling emotionally connects with them. But then when you can layer on that education and people feel like they're walking away with knowledge or something that they could walk away with tangibly and put into action, that's when that builds trust, especially when they put it into action and it's like a free tip or something like that and it actually works. Because if it works once, then they're going to keep coming back to you and they're going to be like, this girl, this guy keeps sharing stuff with me that really does connect and it really does work. And I'm starting to lean in and trust this person and what they say often. So let me give you a couple examples. If you're selling wellness products, but you're not in the peak health situation, or you're a little bit overweight or whatever, focus on educating your audience on the benefits of ingredients and how you're working on your own personal health journey. We oftentimes try to educate people on the result, but that really doesn't need education. That kind of needs more show. Right? You need to show people the result, but educate people on the how in order to get to the result that they're hopefully wanting to achieve. Another example would be offering business services, but you have no portfolio or no clientele, no testimonials. Teach people the strategies you're using without giving away proprietary information for yourself, or use case studies from other people. Using studies or using stories or using testimonials from other people who have applied or done similar things to what you're doing is not stealing content. It's sharing that something works. I know so-and-so has also put this into practice because they talk about it and they've shared their journey with it. And this is how it's worked for them, and see the results and how they started from A and they got all the way to C, and ta-da, how awesome is that? Share and educate. So you want to create content, again, that provides value tips, how-tos, and research so that people can see you as a trusted source. The third thing would be positioning yourself as a guide and not a guru. Right? You don't need to be at the finish line in order to help somebody who's just starting. Let me say that again. You do not need to be at the finish line in order to help somebody who is just starting. You might have a health coach or a fitness coach, but they might not be in the physique that you ultimately desire. But you have seen how they have transformed other people into physiques that you might desire. So, for example, you don't need to be in the perfect skin to help somebody who's overwhelmed by skincare choices. All right? Even though you have acne, maybe, and you're trying to sell skincare, that doesn't mean you have to have the perfect skin in order to help them simplify their routines. You still have abilities with what you know and how you can educate people without having to have the perfect canvas in order to do it. You also don't need a six-figure business or you don't need a six-figure business in order to coach or teach someone how to set up their first website. I see online all the time, look at me, I'm a multimillionaire. I made $100,000 a month by only working 6 hours a month. First of all, stop. It's so tacky. If you have to hook, line, and sinker people into your business by leveraging your own income, like what impact are you really making? Other than an impact on your own ego? Yeah, I said it, and I'm not sorry about it. I don't mind income. I don't mind talking about income, but leveraging that to get clients. And then when your clients don't see the same results that you've seen because you weren't being truthful and honest and how you actually made that amount of income is just what irks me more than anything. I need to create a separate podcast because I'm about to go down a rabbit hole in this, but I'm not going to. But my point is you don't have to be making buku bucks to help somebody in their business. If you know how to do something and you do it well, then sell that service. You have the ability. You don't need the income to back it up. That will come later. Tell people, I don't have a six-figure business, but I know what I'm doing and I know I can do it right. And let me show you how I can do it right. So use this whole I'm learning with you method, and use that message instead of I've got all the answers. Share insights from your journey as you go instead of posing in your journey as you go. So the last thing I'm going to give you is document your small wins. I think we fail to do this. Why this works is because progress builds credibility and confidence. Did you get your first client? Share how you landed them. Did you notice an improvement in your health? Document what's working. Did you receive feedback from somebody? Share the testimonial. Instead of waiting to be successful, document the milestones along the way. You absolutely can show up today, regardless of the situation you're in, to do what you need to do to grow the business you desire. It all takes a mental shift, and it all takes us stopping comparing ourselves to what we see online, because ultimately that is what is bottlenecking our own growth in taking action in our business, because it's making us think that we are less than, we are not qualified enough, we are not successful enough, and we are not looking the part. And again, what is the part? Who sets those standards? Because if you set your standards to relatable standards and to transparent standards and to just real life human standards, it's not the fake crap that we see online that we're comparing ourselves to that make us believe this way in our own businesses and in our own personal lives. So I'm here to tell you that you absolutely can do this and you absolutely can show up. And if you want to have a deeper conversation on this and what this might look like for you, or strategically lay out a plan of action for how you can show up confidently in the situation or the stage of business that you are in, then head on over to my Instagram, Hey Whitney K. You can also access it through the Uno Mas podcast Instagram, even though we're not actively posting on there. But go to Hey Whitney K on Instagram, send me a DM. Let's have a conversation and we'll go from there. I believe in you. Show up. You got this. Thanks for taking the time to listen in to today's episode on Uno Mas Podcast. What can you do to support the show moving forward? Well, you can subscribe on your favorite platform, leave a review or a rating, because it's your reviews that matter most, and it's your reviews that help us get the show discovered by new listeners. And don't forget to share this episode with your friends, family, and followers on all your social media accounts, tagging me at the Whitney K or at Uno Mas Podcast for a spotlight feature on our social platforms. Now, if you're a female entrepreneur who's ready to ditch the overwhelm, stream your business operations, and create a brand that deeply resonates with your audience, it's time to take the next step. Visit Eden with an IDEN.agency to learn more about my strategic synergy partnership, a personalized one-on-one partnership experience where we'll work together to implement the tools, systems, and strategies you need to scale with confidence, save time, and achieve sustainable growth. Don't wait. Your business deserves clarity, efficiency, and success. So let's make it happen together.